Welcome back. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and leave a like. Enjoy the video. What occurs when a self-satisfied judge ridicules two elderly women in his courtroom, believing he possesses all the authority? He was unaware that they were distinguished U.S. Army veterans prepared to turn the tables. What transpired next rendered the entire courtroom silent. The atmosphere felt charged. The type of energy that quickens your heartbeat, even if you're merely an observer. Conversations ceased as soon as the double doors opened, revealing Eleanor and Harriet Gardner. The sisters were not just ordinary elderly women. They were formidable figures. Eleanor, her silver hair neatly secured, wore a crisp white blouse that exuded authority. Harriet, just 2 years younger, donned a tailored gray blazer over a sharp black dress. They moved with a determination that demanded attention, each step of their sensible heels resonating on the polished floor, like a slow drumbeat heralding their entrance. They had no intention of causing a scene, at least not on purpose. Their mission was straightforward: to contest an unjust eviction notice. Simple enough, right? However, nothing about this courtroom or the man sitting smugly at the plaintiff's table indicated simplicity. The landlord, a balding man with a consistently bitter expression, leaned in to whisper something to his attorney. Whatever his words were, they transformed his thin lips into a grin that could ignite anyone's anger. As the sisters approached their table, a low murmur coursed through the gallery, a blend of curiosity and judgment. Judge Harold Carter silenced the chatter with a sharp rap of his gavel. Carter was notorious for his harsh demeanor and rulings that frequently favored the influential. His reputation preceded him, and his narrow-eyed stare only amplified it. He scrutinized the sisters from head to toe, his expression full of contempt when he finally spoke. His voice possessed enough condescension to fill the room. "Ladies," he drawled, stretching the word like it left a bad taste. Do you think dressing up as if you're at a board meeting will impress this court? Perhaps you're mistaken about the distinction between a courtroom and a fashion show. The gallery chuckled softly. It wasn't loud, but it felt like a slap. Eleanor's hands clenched into tight fists beneath the table. Harriet glanced at her sister, giving a quick, reassuring look. "Not now," it seemed to say. "Don't take the bait." The hearing commenced, but it didn't take long for Judge Carter to express his sentiments clearly. He interrupted the sisters at every possible moment, his tone laden with sarcasm and barely concealed hostility. "Let me guess," he sneered during one of Harriet's arguments. "You, too, believe you're entitled to special treatment? Maybe you've been watching too much television." Harriet, ever composed, calmly countered his interruptions with facts, her voice steady and unwavering. Eleanor followed suit, presenting their case with meticulous detail. They underscored the landlord's dubious practices, pointing out illegal clauses in the eviction notice, and providing evidence that painted an undeniable picture. Each meticulously crafted point seemed to tighten Carter's expression further, his irritation simmering just beneath the surface. But he wasn't finished. Leaning forward, his gaze pierced into them like a knife. "You two may have deceived some people," he said, his tone icy. "But not me. I can see right through your type." The words lingered in the air like a foul odor. The gallery gasped. A sharp collective sound, as if the courtroom itself couldn't fathom what had just transpired. Eleanor's jaw clenched, but Harriet placed a calming hand on her sister's arm. Their eyes met briefly, a silent agreement to remain unshaken by this man. The tension in the room was palpable, like a taut string ready to snap. Every individual in the gallery leaned in, eager to witness the sisters' response. But Eleanor and Harriet remained firmly calm, their determination unwavering despite the tempest of injustice surrounding them. After the hearing, the marble lobby of the courthouse felt grand, cold, and unyielding, much like Judge Carter himself. Eleanor and Harriet stood still, the weight of his words looming over them like a storm cloud. Moments ago, they had entered the courtroom armed with evidence and conviction. Now they struggled with the raw sting of public disgrace. The whispers from the gallery, the smirks, the judge's spiteful tone, they echoed in their minds like a terrible song stuck on repeat. Before they could collect their thoughts, a reporter swooped in like a predator sensing fresh prey. A microphone was thrust toward them, the camera's red light blinking ominously. "Mrs. Gardner," the reporter's voice was sweet, but her eyes glittered with a desire for controversy. "Care to comment on Judge Carter's remarks?" Eleanor took a step forward, her jaw clenched and eyes aflame. But Harriet, ever the strategist, placed a steady hand on her sister's arm. "Not here," she whispered, her voice calm yet resolute. Eleanor paused, then stepped back. The reporter frowned, sensing a missed chance but refrained from pressing further. As the sisters turned to leave, the sound of deliberate footsteps echoed behind them. They didn't need to look to know who it was. Judge Carter's presence was unmistakable. A dark cloud that seemed to drain the air from the room, flanked by 2 security guards. He approached with the swagger of a man who believed he owned not only the courthouse, but the very concept of justice itself. "Well, well," he drawled, his smirk slicing through the space between them. "Running away already? I thought you two had more spine." Eleanor halted mid-stride and turned slowly, her expression unreadable. When she spoke, her voice had a sharp edge. "We're not running, Judge. We're walking away because this is beneath us." Carter's smirk widened, the kind that made you want to roll your eyes. "Beneath you?" The arrogance dripped from his words as he paused for effect, his eyes narrowing. "I hope you're prepared to lose." Harriet, who had remained silent until now, stepped forward. She was not just calm, she was ice. "We're not the ones losing, Judge. Your bias is on full display, and it's embarrassing for you." For a split second, his facade slipped, his smirk faltered, replaced by something resembling fear, or perhaps anger. It was difficult to discern, and it vanished almost as quickly as it appeared. He straightened his tie and delivered his parting remark. "Watch yourself, young lady. Disrespecting a judge doesn't end well." Harriet maintained his gaze unflinchingly. "Neither does disrespecting justice." They did not wait for a reply. The sisters turned and walked away, their heels clicking against the marble floor and sink. Yet, as they reached the courthouse steps, Eleanor's composure shattered. "Who does he think he is?" she hissed, pacing near the curb. "He thinks he's untouchable. He doesn't even know who we are." Harriet leaned against the car, arms crossed, watching her sister with a small, knowing smile. Finally, she spoke in a low, deliberate tone. "Then perhaps it's time we remind him." Eleanor ceased pacing, her frustration giving way to intrigue. "What are you thinking?" Harriet's smile broadened, a mischievous spark in her eyes. "Oh, you'll see." The courtroom buzzed with anticipation. Every seat was occupied, and those who couldn't find a spot lined the back wall, craning their necks for a better view. The sisters' first encounter with Judge Carter had become the town's hot topic, and the public yearned for more. The moment Eleanor and Harriet entered the room, carrying a duffel bag between them, the energy shifted. It was the type of tension that made you hold your breath without realizing it. Judge Carter, perched high on the bench, appeared less than pleased. The increased attention seemed to irk him, though he attempted to hide it behind his usual air of superiority. Leaning forward, he addressed them with a thin smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Mrs. Gardner," he began, his tone dripping with sarcasm, "I trust you're ready to continue wasting this court's time?" Harriet, always composed, stepped forward, her voice slicing through the murmurs. "Actually, Your Honor, we'd like to submit new evidence." Carter raised an eyebrow, his expression shifting between interest and irritation. "New evidence?" he repeated. "And what exactly would that be?" Eleanor unzipped the duffel bag with deliberate care. The room fell silent, except for the sound of the zipper. She pulled out a neatly organized stack of documents, a few glossy photographs, and a tablet. "This," she stated firmly, placing the items on the defense table. "And this?" The court clerk approached, taking the tablet from Eleanor and connecting it to the courtroom's projector. Seconds later, the screen at the front of the room lit up. The first clip displayed Eleanor and Harriet in full U.S. Army tactical gear, leading a training exercise with precision and authority. The footage transitioned to images of the sisters coordinating humanitarian missions in disaster zones, their uniforms coated in dust but their determination unyielding. Another clip showcased them instructing soldiers in advanced combat techniques, their commands delivered with unwavering confidence. The room erupted into a flurry of whispers. Even the landlord, who had been smugly observing, seemed taken aback. Judge Carter, however, presented a different image. His complexion paled, and for a fleeting moment, the control he so carefully maintained slipped. Eleanor's voice was cold and relentless. "You failed to do your homework, Judge. We've served this country in ways you can't even fathom, and now we're serving justice, starting with you." Carter opened his mouth to respond, but before he could, Harriet interjected, holding up a folder. But that's not all. We've also uncovered evidence that your star witness, the landlord, has been falsifying documents and engaging in blatant discrimination. She turned to the landlord's lawyer, her gaze sharp enough to cut glass. Care to explain that? The landlord's lawyer stuttered, struggling to formulate a coherent reply, but Harriet didn't allow him the chance. We have receipts, she declared, literally flipping open the folder to reveal pages of incriminating documents. Bank transfers, fake notices, and a detailed record of wrongful activities. Carter's gavel struck the table with enough force to resonate throughout the room. That's enough, he barked. But his voice lacked its typical authority. The gallery had stopped listening to him. They were too engrossed in their shock and outrage. The tension reached its zenith, and the judge's next move was evident to everyone present. Reluctantly, he announced his withdrawal from the case. A public acknowledgement of failure. A blow to his meticulously constructed image. The landlord was left floundering as the specter of criminal charges loomed over him. When the sisters finally exited the courthouse, the crowd outside erupted in cheers. Reporters swarmed, cameras flashing, but Eleanor and Harriet paid them no mind. Their focus remained steadfast as they approached their car. Eleanor allowed herself a rare smile. He'll think twice before underestimating anyone again, she remarked, tossing the duffel bag into the trunk. Harriet returned her smile, her eyes sparkling with quiet satisfaction. And if he doesn't, we'll be here to remind him. Quote, dot. Here on Karma's Twists, we share the most impactful stories of karma and justice that the world needs to see. Don't miss a single moment of good triumphing over evil. Join our community and subscribe. Be part of the movement that believes justice always wins.